Definitely something wrong with the OBS, so I apologize. If this one goes down, that's the end of it. I'm taking it as a sign. But I'm gonna try and wrap this up. But dividing lines need to be objective for species, is my point. If you saw, this is now the third take, by the way, or the third part of tonight's stream because my OBS keeps failing. So like I said, I apologize. I'll figure it out for the next one. But I've never had this happen. I don't know what's going on. But something is not a different species just because it looks different. Something is a different species when it can no longer breed with another species. If it can and produce fertile offspring, then it is the same species no matter how different it looks. This is reality. So, any other definition of species is meaningless. And it is essential to have a label for that dividing line. Right now, biologists are literally using anything to divide species. And it is because there isn't any new species to discover. Kind of. I mean, that at least it seems that way. That doesn't mean that there isn't, but the species to discover are not very interesting. They're not so interesting. It's like, oh, a slightly smaller chameleon than the last one. Maybe that's not even a new species, according to the objective definition. So you're not going to like discover a new big cat that nobody knew about, probably. And because of this, people are still going to seek meaning, and they're going to just divide. Like, there's a species of animal called a water monitor, and it's Varanus salvator is the scientific name. And it used to be a bunch of different subspecies. There was, the golden ones that were yellow and from the Philippines, and they were called Varanus salvator kamingi. And then there was Varanus salvator, and there was Varanus salvator, I think bivitatus, and there was a bunch of different subspecies. This is fine. But then for some reason, in the last 10 years, they have decided, no, these are actually different species. They are almost the same animal. Some are more yellow, some are from here, some are from there. Some are darker, some are lighter. They are the same exact animal. Some are slightly smaller, slightly bigger. But that is true of humans too, and we don't call ourselves different species. Geographic divides are not warranting of a division of a group of organisms or a group of beings into different species. The difference between platinum and gold, it's not slight, like a difference in this isotope or that isotope. It's an objective difference in the structure of the nucleus that is objective. The amount of protons that is basic. So the protons are the head and the neutrons are the body of the nucleus of an atom, which is the atom itself. Then you've changed the structure of the head of an element. It is a different element. Like the head structure, the leading structure has been changed when the number of protons changes. So that when the number of neutrons changes, you're just changing the body a little bit. But if you change the head, it's a different organism. And it's a different being. And so I guess, let's see, I think they call element species. The elemental composition of a species how do you identify the chemical species? If an atom is identical to another atom, they are defined as being the same chemical species. This is also true of molecules. Is water a chemical species? Water is a substance composed of the chemical elements hydrogen and oxygen and existing in gaseous, liquid, and solid states. It is one of the most plentiful and essential of compounds, a tasteless and odorless liquid at room temperature. It has an important ability to dissolve many other substances. That is not an answer to my question. I think it is a chemical species. Though the molecules of water are simple in structure, the physical and chemical properties of the compound are extraordinarily complicated, and they are not typical of most substances found on Earth. For example, although the sight of ice cubes floating in a glass of water is commonplace, such behavior is unusual for chemical entities. As almost every other compound, the solid state is denser than the liquid state. Water is amazing. It's always weirded me out that there's no prayer in Judaism over water. Jewish. There's like a prayer in Judaism for everything except prayer for water. Maybe there is a prayer for water. Probably is, but nobody says it. Um, the bracha on the water. Okay, drinking water is no different than reciting a bracha before a meal, recited before you start drinking, and it effect until you finish. It's like there is a prayer over wine. It's very specific. And water is it's such an important, it's such an essential, substance. You would think that it would be the thing that you always said a blessing before you consumed. Especially if you're coming from a people that supposedly spent 40 years in the desert. Yeah, it's like there doesn't seem to be a specific prayer. Never understood that. It's just the blessing before eating or consuming in general. Water is fascinating, though. Uh, the water molecule follows a 2/3, 1/3 pattern that is found in the generative structure of life everywhere. So even the universe, 1/3 of God's energy was put into creation. 2/3 were left with him. And, water is H2O. So it also follows this. Hadrons follow this because a proton is 2 up quarks and a down quark. A neutron is 2 down quarks and an up quark. So it's a 2/3, 1/3 pattern. And the fact that water has this as well is definitely important. Okay, let's get back to the paper, and we'll finish up outlining. Entanglement properties. Cool. There's lots of models for that. Engineering and experimentation. In entanglement. Focus points, spin, chirality, DNA, dispersers. Okay, so like just lots of instances of where the pattern described above is perceived. Engineering and experimentation. I have an idea for an experiment that I'm going to include in the paper. And also possible, I'm going to discuss possible engineering applications. Meaning, this is very important, is basically to show where meaning falls into this. So the engineering and experimentation is like meaning and morality. And then the engineering and experimentation, social and technological. As we go forward, especially with the adoption of the blockchain, there is no difference between social structures and technological structures. It's all merging. Summary and conclusions for models are for primary perspectives, which is basically one, two, three, four. Okay. I mean, I've done a lot of this. I've written a lot. I mean, I've over probably almost 30 pages written. But as I organize it to bring out, oh, fascinating. Look at this. Actually, look at that. Like, I knew you would find symmetry. And I didn't try and do this. It just so happened. That's pretty cool. So you have 1 and 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, and then 1. 16, which is 4 times 4. Fascinating. This would be 8, which is the periodicity of sentience. There's a singularity. You have, it's like beyond the beginning, existence was conscious, consciousness was one, consciousness exists, and existence, and consciousness is one. Okay, so you have reorienting views and also context. Then you have one stage of sentience, or one primary perspective, which breaks into 2 because of that the 4 stages of sentience breaks into the 8 periodicity of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, which is 8. And then you have an ending the context, I guess, which is basically just the reflection of these, and the summary is basically just a reflection of the abstract. So it's the same thing. It's this is this, and it's like this is the context, this is the meaning or the purpose. This is the outline, or the short version, I guess. Basically the main idea. And then here is the stages of description of information. The binary triality and the quantum of consciousness. Stages of sentience, cosmological verse. These are all 2 perspectives of the same structure. 4 primary perspectives and information change. And sentient singularity. What is a sentient singularity, and how is the universe created? Awesome. How does it create the universe? So what is the creator? Or what is existence, and how does existence create the universe? And then it basically, you hit your foundation, your structure of information change, how you basically, how your the way in which your mind breaks down information in order to organize it. This is basically the mathematical this is the math, or the model that is the structure that creates this structure, the perception of this structure. So now actually you would want, this would be mode, this is mode, this is mode, and this is mode. This is this is model. 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 Or description. It's just a description. Description, description, mode, mode, mode. Okay. Okay. There you go. See how this just naturally occurred? Every single one of my models is fills a spot here. So this isn't forced. If you force it, you won't be able to do it. Like, good luck. I've tried. When I was first making this structure, I figured I needed to get it to 720 because I ended up with it being this. Alone. Which is 718. And I was like, dang, that's close to 720. I wasn't trying to get 720, but I was like, I bet you it's 720. And I counted it and it was 718. And I was like, okay, that's really close. Like, that can't be a coincidence. And then for months, I could not figure out how to get it to 720 without just adding in, BS. And then I realized it's part of a lineage structure, just like a human comes from another human. You can't, if you look at it just like this, the universe, then it's basically what you're doing is you have, I mean, it really, it's like it almost like, it's like that basically. But it doesn't matter if it's like that or if it's like that. But you're basically looking at a human on its own. And you're like trying to understand a human. Where did the human come from? What is a human? What is the human, the inevitable aspects, the inevitable process of being a human? You can't understand that until you realize that we're part of a lineage structure. We are human, we came from another human, and we lead to another human. When you realize that, I realized that for the universe as well. And that it's also part of a lineage, creating another. And once I did that, it ended up being 720. It completed the picture. Didn't even have to force it. You can't force it. If you try, you failed. Like, nothing should be forced. It should all just be natural. And the fact that this emerged like this, pretty amazing. I didn't even realize that it had gone 1, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, and then 3 and 1, which is, there's a symmetrical structure. It's mirroring the structure that is described in the pattern. You see the 4 primary perspectives and the 8 levels of the periodicity, which is head, body, mode, and description. Mode and description, head, body. You see the triality uh, of contextualization always, just like past, present, future, forwards, backwards, current location, length, width, height, x, y, z. These are all triadic structures or triadic perspectives that contextualize things. Um, Parent, child, grandparent, uh, parent, child. Basically, you can do that too. But it's parent, child, spouse is really what it is. It's not parent. It's not grandparent, parent, child. It's parent, child, spouse. Parent is the past. Child is the future. Spouse is the present. Fascinating. That is amazing. Like, there is no models left out. So this is now the outline of the paper. And obviously I've been working on it, but I just now have to take what I've written and make sure that it's put in this order. Basically, in my video here, it's from we're going to go way back real quick, and then I'm going to end the stream. When I started this project, the very first video that I uploaded, other than one that is titled Escaping Our Academic Institutions, is I've retitled it Introduction to Sentient Singularity Theory, but at the time, this work didn't even have a name. I had no desire to have it be a name. I just wanted to be part of this conversation. I didn't care about my theory versus other theories. It was only after I realized that the name of the theory has to describe the essential nature of existence that I changed the name and gave it a name. Otherwise, I was like, okay, we can call it whatever, geometric unity, hypergraph universe, CTMU. I did not care. But I just wanted to be part of the discussion. But it's essential that the name describes the essential nature of existence. And Sentient Singularity Theory does do that. But in this Sentient Singularity Theory intro, so I'm very good at this. What needs to happen. And I said in my previous video. So listen, kind of came to realize that I am like a savant at philosophy. And I work with amazing philosophers. Okay, I work with Dennis Prager, and I've worked with Jordan Peterson, and there are plenty of others around me. And I'm very good at philosophy, and I realized this in college. But I didn't think that it had any practical application to the hard sciences, so I kind of ignored it. And my passion has always been the hard sciences. But what I've realized over the past year and maybe 4 years, is that philosophy is the science. And it is applicable to everything from mathematics, which I've always struggled with, to quantum physics. And you can't just say that you taught yourself quantum physics without taking a kook. You can't even work. Where is it? On the theory of everything. Okay, here it is. But here. And it's probably the most incredible. Uh, I know that it's necessary that I reveal my models. And I've been waiting for, you know, I've been working on a paper and I didn't know how I was going to publish it or anything like that, but it's over 20 pages and it's filled with models. And it's probably the most incredible thing I've ever done. And it's not even done. I don't know how you end paper on the theory of everything, but somehow one day I think that I'll know it's time to at least like wrap it up. So this is kind of like a cathartic moment, if that's even the right term, because uh, I said that in that very first major upload, and I said I don't know how you end a paper on the theory of everything, and at the time I did not. I had no idea how I was going to wrap this up. I had no idea how far it was going to go, and what was going to be required, and I didn't realize that I didn't know that it had to follow the pattern that it described in the paper itself yet. I knew I had basically created almost all the models, but I hadn't yet internalized all of it, and I also all the other the extra understanding that has come from just studying them since then has led to quite a bit deeper understanding than I had then. But I didn't know if I was going to keep creating models, and you can always create more models, but if I needed to keep creating more models, or how much did you need in order to give a description of the theory of everything? And I didn't know how you would end it, because how do you know when you're like, that's the end? I realized that the logos goes through a loop. So you get to technological singularity and you birth another universe, and then the process restarts. Okay. So there is like a finite aspect of this, but there is also infinite things to get into that you can get into. But I didn't know, like, where do you end? And this model, this like outline that we just went through in these three stream, parts of this stream tonight, because our OBS was failing us, um, basically shows you where to end. That doesn't mean that there is an infinite amount of information that can be added to this and value that can be added to this by myself and others, once it comes out. But it because there is, but this the paper has to follow this pattern, and all the models in this paper do describe basically everything that I'm trying to show. There's a few things that I'm still working on regarding engineering and experimentation, but that is probably fine. Like, I'm just gonna say, as much as I can, but I can't tell you every aspect of how to do warp transportation, but I can give you like point in the right direction. Probably it's, but there's plenty for engineers to figure out that that are beyond me. But those that doesn't have to be fine, like perfectly ironed out. I don't have to include the schematics of a warp drive on here in order to put this paper out. I just need to describe basically what warp drive is and certain considerations and other technological and social applications, but of this work. But yeah, that's it. I'm gonna end the stream, and thank you everybody for tuning in tonight. I know it was rough. We literally had the stream cut 3 times. Probably lost most of you, but hit the like button. Share this if you found it meaningful, or share another stream that actually didn't have issues streaming, like this one. And if you want to join our Discord discussion this Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific, send me a private message on Instagram and I will send you the link. We do that every Thursday. Like I said, I will not be here tomorrow. It is my wife's birthday, and so I'm taking her on a date. Go to sentientsingularity.com, sign up for my email list. They're going to kick me off here eventually. I know it. I can tell my Instagram is being censored. It's possible that the breaks in our streaming was caused by me saying things about social structures. And so I'm not going to like say it was because I don't know, but it's very possible that tonight's stream was interrupted by censorship. I don't know though. And but it is very clear that my Instagrams are being throttled, and I know Robert Grant's Instagram is being throttled, which is crazy because it's less it's less controversial than mine, and mine physics or metaphysics Instagram is not controversial at all. And I mean, light is consciousness, that account is being throttled. Anything that is about the truth is going to be throttled and censored and attacked and reacted to with hostility, because the institutions and the central control structures of our, lives are reliant upon our ignorance in order for them to maintain control. And the less ignorant people are, the less control these systems have over them. And even if the people at the top of these companies and such don't consciously think about it like that as they adjust their algorithms, they unconsciously do. It's the same reason you can't take your battery out of your iPhone, and you can't turn off a hard switch to turn off your camera, and you can't change the hard drive on your MacBook Pros anymore. That's all because of the embedded growth obligation, as Eric Weinstein calls it, the ego in institutions seeks power and seeks control, essentially, even at the expense of progress and beauty and truth and growth. But for now, I am working on a solution that's a long-term solution, and I will discuss it. It's a big project that I've been working on very quietly, but I will discuss it on here. And but for now, the solution is follow me on Instagram, both my personal account and my metaphysics account, and also sign up for my email list at sentientsingularity.com, and also join our Discord. So follow as many places as you can, because they're going to start chopping, and I know it. I can already tell by how they're handling things. Like I said, I'm working on a long-term solution, so I'm not just complaining. I'm just telling you, until that is here, then this is the workaround. I will not spam you. If you would like to support this project monetarily, I do have some expenses, and it is always helpful when people want to join the Patreon. I have a couple, and I'm very grateful to everyone there, and I'm also grateful to anybody who wants to contribute their time and effort in different ways in the Discord community. So, like I said, I will send you the link to that if you private message me on Instagram. With that, peace. If you are going to be in the call on Thursday, I will see you then. If not, I will see you next week. Peace again.